You are with the University of Karate, and again, we've joined Sensei Mike Biddle to again examine the principles, the techniques, the methods, the sciences that go into what we call the martial arts. And today is a really good topic, I think. I really enjoy talking about this. Our topic today is Aikido, use less, use lost. You might remember a while ago we had the first in a series of talks called use less or use lost. We talked about kata. Is kata useless or is it a use that's lost? Now we're putting a whole style into the concept of useless and use lost, because if you are on social media, if you're on YouTube and these various platforms, you're going to know that Aikido is very, very heavily trashed on social media. Everyone says it's no good, it's garbage, so on and so forth. You know, I'm sure you've seen it. I don't have to go into all that. But here's the problem with that. Jigoro Kano, who everyone that has any knowledge of martial arts will recognize as someone who was a master of various forms of jiu-jitsu and able to synthesize jiu-jitsu into a new type of martial arts that was easier to study, easier to master, easier to do without getting maimed or killed like many people did studying jiu-jitsu without the safety nets that he put inside there. A genius that really revolutionized martial arts. A master of masters. History tells us that he was very excited about what he saw in the style that Master Uechi-ryu created, called Aikido, and sent some of his top black belts to study with him. Why would someone with that level of understanding and that mastery of martial arts see such great use and such worth in something that everyone online sees as garbage? It just doesn't make sense. What is lost here? Some may say, well, the master style was a master, but the people that do it aren't masters. Well, again, there are a number of people that have studied the martial arts, whether it be judo practitioners, other practitioners, that when they really study high-level Aikido, become tremendous masters because of understanding something that we, I think, have lost. Now, are many people that are doing Aikido not really interested in fighting and not really getting something that the original style has? Yes, but we want to look at that. Sensei Biddle has not only studied Aikido and Uechi-ryu and so on, but he has some insights that I think are going to be helpful for us as we understand this topic, Aikido, use less or use lost. Sensei Biddle, which one is it?
Well, so I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to make everybody mad at me for a moment. So every style that you learn, if you go through the motions of it and don't get proper teaching or proper understanding, proper time, is all garbage. Okay. It is. That's why you see all these videos of people failing in the street, because they get their black belt and they think they can fight, and they get the snot knocked out of them, and then they get disillusioned, and then you see all these stories on YouTube, and it happens. So there's reasons for that, and I think the main thing, and I'm going to come back to Aikido, but the main thing is, and I'm not trying to, I don't care about fighting in the streets. We've talked about that. It's irrelevant to me because no one's fighting. If you want to develop something in the martial arts, it's got to be done through time, and it has to be done through understanding. And then it comes with proper teaching. And I'm not trying to denigrate any teachers out there. I don't know anybody. I'm not speaking to anybody. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is this is the truth. If you're taught properly and you seek after it properly and you study it properly, it'll become something much greater for you. And that's the story. Now, not long after I got my black belt, one of my instructors said, he said, I want you to go and look at some other styles and see if you can understand. Because both my instructors were very well versed in multiple styles, and both of them would tell me, go experiment and go see what's out there and compare. One number of reasons, because if you compare to what you have and you learn, you get different ideas and things. So I was over in college, and there was an Aikido club at the college. So I joined the club and I went there, and I think I was a first degree black belt at the time, so I was pretty good. And I joined the Aikido class, and the first thing it was really fascinating to me, because one of the things I thought was really cool, and I was glad that I did it, because they teach you how to fall. because they do a lot of that. You're going to be rolling and throwing and flipping and doing those things. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But learning to properly roll, properly fall, and properly disperse. There's ways to fall, and there's bad ways to fall. Splat is not a good way. But if you can roll and disperse the energy, and really what we're talking about, the way they teach you to roll and fall is dispersal of energy. It's like, let me give you seem like a silly example, but if you jump and fall, if you jump off a chair and you land on your feet, there's impact, boom. That's a straight drop. As you hit the ground, you got to think about this. As your feet touch the ground, if you bend your knees slightly and then force yourself outward, redirect the energy outward, and you land on your belly, you can mitigate a lot of the impact. It's fascinating. I've done it from a distance that I wouldn't want to repeat by accident, but I did it. So with that said, you learn to fall, you learn to roll, because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing these, the throws and the things that they have. And if you don't learn to fall properly, you're going to get hurt. Now, I know all the arguments are, well, it's not effective and blah, blah, blah. But there's a number of things that you've got to look at. When I was there, my idea was not to... I wasn't going to be an Aikido practitioner, but I wanted to understand some principles. So I had a core idea. Now, my instructor gave me some things to look for. He says, this is what I want you to do. When you get there, do this and look for this and just engage with them. Don't try to don't be the black belt or to be the karate guy and trying to defeat them. Just go with them. Just do what they do. Let them teach you. So, I've said this before, when you look at any martial art, you got to be careful. Don't get caught by the presentation, the show, because the magician's sleight of hand is always active. If you're watching the flip and the throw, you're not seeing the pattern. You've been tricked. What you want to look at, now I'm going to discuss a couple of concepts within Aikido, which are really cool. And here's my favorite. I'm just going to start with my favorite. Entry points. They are very well trained at getting an entry point. So if you do a punch, they have a way of moving into the punch. They don't back away. They move at an angle and they turn and they rotate and they move. And then they're either inside you or they're outside you on the wrong side. Now, if it's me, if it's just me saying this, I don't want somebody inside. And I don't want somebody outside behind me. That's not a good idea. So, the entry point. So, do this for me. Just forget about your preconceived notions of Aikido. You got to dismiss some of the stuff. See what you can learn. Watch what they do, but don't watch the throw. Don't watch the arms. Watch the body positioning and what I call the entry point. How are they getting inside? It's usually through a circular motion, a redirection. They'll use their arms as a lever. So if a punch comes in, they step and they put their arm against that arm. Now they may turn and grab it, and don't be deceived by that. They reach in, and as they're reaching in, as your energy is coming forward, they're moving inside and around, and they are becoming the center of the circle. And this is one of the things my instructor said to watch for. He said, look for the center of the circle. That's all he said. That's what he would do. He would tell me this, and he said, now go find it. So what you do is watch how they're rotating their hips and their body. Watch how they become the center. That is a foundational principle right there, is they become the center point, and then you are the end point. Now, as far as the throws and things, they do all that with joint locks and leverage, and you're going to go that way because if you don't, things break. Now, I know, again, well, if someone grabs me, that's not going to work. No, you're probably right, but you're just seeing beginner stuff. You're just seeing the basics. Like I said about the other starts, if you watch Uechi-ryu and you watch San Chin, you don't see anything there. Well, that won't work. You can't do that punch and kick combination. Well, of course not. I'm not going to do that punching and combination. I'm going to do something else. So the higher you go and the levels you get, you can learn these principles. And those principles can become important. The other main thing that they do is that leverage. And we talk about using someone's energy against them. It's really talking about redirecting force. It's moving force. And most martial arts, Uechi-ryu with a circle block redirects the punch. It's a redirection. We don't try to block the punch. We just move it. It's very easy to move. A force that's coming straight at you can easily be moved sideways. You just move it. But you've got to get in position. That's why, again, I talk about the entry points. Watch how they place their hands, where they place them. They're very precise in the motion and where they put their hands because they want to do something with that lever. Now they're going to create leverage. Now, the essence of it, where if it goes wrong for people, is they haven't learned enough to properly apply the leverage. And again, if you're going to do this sort of thing, you have to learn how to understand the principles and advance them to the higher levels. And those come as you go up higher in ranks. Most people that you see fighting in any fight, any style, Aikido, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, whatever, they're not the best. Those people aren't fighting. They don't want to fight. They're not going to fight. They're not the guys fighting in the streets. What we're all seeing with all these guys is the worst of the worst. Now, then what happens is someone gets the better of somebody and we say, well, that style is better. Well, then that person was probably better. But just like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you just look at the outside of it, the outside looking in, take away, we talk about demystifying stuff, take away the show and look at what they're doing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a master class in leverage and how to use their body weight and their movement patterns on the ground. It's brilliant stuff. Aikido is brilliant stuff. If you take the time to understand how they're moving, how they're gaining access to the inside. In a fight, in a situation, inside is where you want to be. You don't want to be on the end of a punch. You want to be on the inside of the punch. If someone's bringing a baseball bat at you, you don't want to be at the end of the baseball bat. You want to be on the wrists. So you've got to learn to step in. So now think of an Aikido practitioner. Let's say they're a skilled practitioner. And I'm talking about someone you've probably never met. That guy swings that baseball bat and they're inside. And now bad things can happen. Now, don't be fooled. Just because you see the throws and the movements doesn't mean they can't throw a throat punch. They're inside. That's what I spent my time learning. When I got with some good high-level black belts in Aikido, and we worked a lot on I'm trying to understand how are you getting inside. And then my other challenge was, this is what my instructor says, how do you defeat that? How do you keep them from getting inside? So that's a back and forth now of understanding. So the other thing to pay attention to is the footwork. It's very precise, it's very balance-oriented, and it's very rotationally oriented. They are the center. And I can't say that enough. If you understand the concept of that, is they are the center. Does that make, just because you see it not work in the street or something, does that invalidate the principle? That's a big no. That's a very important principle. I have incorporated that in my techniques. I want to be in the center. And if you are the center, because when you rotate your hips, and again, and they learn to do this properly, is to rotate the hips properly, rotate the shoulders properly. We've talked about this in other videos. They're creating biomechanical advantages. And it goes beyond the mysticism of the chi. It's just biomechanical advantage. They are as good at leverage as BJJ is as good at leverage, once it's understood. And there's the point. So get in the center, and if you're in the center, you can rotate everything around you without a lot of effort, because they become the wheel, the spoke, the end of the wheel, and they become the end of the whip. And that's what you're seeing, the throw and the falls and the stuff. And when you're watching an Aikido demonstration, you see an Aikido, it looks like a dance, and it looks like, well, that won't work, because they're demonstrating the dance. They're demonstrating the dance, they're showing the show, but they're not showing the real. They're not telling you what the real is. They're not revealing what the real is. It's just like in karate and Uechi-ryu, you don't learn the secrets when you walk in the front door. You're not learning that for a very long time. We're never getting to that. Some of the stuff that we've been talking about in some of these videos, you're never going to hear unless you've been in there long enough. We're just doing it because we want to get it out there so some people it resonates, and because it's not being said enough, and we're creating this library. So that's the principle of Aikido from my perspective. Now, I'm not talking, all the Aikido practitioners, give me a break here. I don't know enough to go into the levels that you understand it. So any criticism you want to levy, I'm accepting of it. I'm just giving you my perspective of what I think that we're missing from the people looking in from the outside. What I'm saying is that the people that are really good at Aikido know things you just don't know. Just like you look at me and you see me practice San Chen, you don't know what I know. You may do some of it from what we've been talking about in the videos, but we've only scratched the surface. So a high-level Aikido practitioner, that person's not on YouTube videos fighting. And they're not the same. There's same ones that aren't going into the boxing ring to see if they can hone their craft. Well, that's always a dumb idea, because I would never go into a boxing ring with a boxer, and that's a skill. That's a sport. That's a thing. They know what they're doing. I don't. It's not the same situation. So the Aikido practitioner is a very high-level understanding of physics, biomechanics, and again, I want to come back to it because I'm going to close with this. Watch the entry points. How do they get inside? To me, again, I'm not the high-level Aikido practitioner. To me, for my benefit, it was, how are they getting inside? And what can I use? How can I use that leverage and that rotation to my advantage? What can I learn from that? That was my mission, and I think I was successful on that, because my instructor said, very good, you don't have to go back.
I just want to end with one thought or question, I guess, that may just kind of top this off. And that's, when we talk about Aikido, there's, like I said before, there are a number of people that are high-level judo, karate, whatever it may be, practitioners that study or go and learn Aikido from a very accomplished Aikido practitioner, and they see great worth in it. They learn principles, like we often talk about, of rotation and leverage and so on, that maybe they did not fully understand in their original style, and they find that it complements them, helps them with distancing, helps them with being relaxed, not tensing. We talked in a previous video about being relaxed into the moment of impact, or being relaxed and be able to move with this calmness, that this Aiki principle. You want to just, anything you want to say about that, or jump in there?
Yeah, well, I know there's a martial artist down I think he was in Sarasota, that studied Aikido, and he's
Rick Horton, I think his name is.
Yeah, and he's incredible. He's fun to watch. I mean, he talks about these principles. So where did he get all that? Where does that come from?
He's a Shotokan guy. So.
Yeah, Shotokan, and he's using Aikido principles in his teaching, and it's fascinating, and it's really good. See, don't gloss over this stuff. It's too easy to gloss over this stuff and miss things. We get narrow-minded in our look at how we look at, well, that's my style is better, that's not what I want. Well, yeah, okay, I don't care, but what can I learn from it? And again, if you come back to Aikido, if you look at the locks, the joint locks and the leverages and new things, if someone's really good, and even if you get on the ground with them and they get your wrist, you're in trouble. They're in trouble. It's not going to be good. It's not going to go well. So don't discount it. Look at it. See what you can learn from it. Again, my philosophy is I don't look at any martial art as superior or inferior. I look at all of them for what can I get out of it. There's only so many ways to move, and there's only so many ways to do things, but there's common principles. So I don't look at what separates us, I look at what joins us, because if those things are common, they're effective.
Yes, I totally agree with that. There's so much that masters of the martial arts can find when they talk to each other, because even if they're from two different styles, the very things that we talk about here, the principles, the science, the techniques, the things that come together to make the martial arts, they understand these dynamics. Today we've talked about a number of different, we've filmed or recorded a number of different sessions with rotation and so on. All these principles are the common ground that people from different styles can talk about if they have seen these binding principles that make up the martial arts. You are with the University of Karate, and again, we've looked at a very important topic called Aikido useless or use loss. Make your decision. Put it in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation. Sensei Bido will answer and comment, talk with you in the comment section below. Please share your thoughts down there. Again, you're with the University of Karate, and we'll see you again next time.